Hello everyone, welcome to the session on how to flip the motivation switch with Somal Kayani. Let me introduce Somal to our audience. Somal is a lecturer at Muhammad Ali Jinnah University, Karachi, Pakistan. Somal is an MPhil clinical psychology graduate and lecturer at Muhammad Ali Jinnah University as a certified hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, and psychotherapist. She combines academia with practical expertise. Her dynamic approach integrates traditional and innovative therapeutic methods, emphasizing personalized mental health care. Soma's dedication to education and holistic well-being positions her as a standout figure, contributing significantly to both academia and clinical practice in psychology. Welcome to this session. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm also doing good. Welcome to today's session and welcome to Global Citizenship Foundation's candidates. And I hope to see all of you participating in the session. Over to you, Somal. I'm looking forward to today's session.
Thank you so much, Media, for introducing me. Welcome, everyone. Hello. Hope you all are doing great today. So, as you all know, that today we'll be talking about how to flip the motivation switch, right? So, I was also seeing that how interesting this coincidence is that this session is planned on Wednesday, which is technically, midday of the week, and majority of us are just trying to get by to reach to the Friday so that we can, enjoy our weekends and just re-energize ourselves. So maybe some of us are feeling a little bit low side towards motivation. So maybe in a few moments, you guys will be seeing a poll, and through that poll, we'll be indicating that how much motivated are we currently feeling. Okay, that's good. Okay, so now we will be, talking about our topic of today's. So before going towards that, let me share my presentation. Okay, so are you guys able to see the screen? Okay, so first of all, I would like you all to see this wheel of emotion. Why I'm asking you all to maybe just go through this wheel of emotion is because we'll be talking about motivation in terms of social emotional learning perspective. In a bit, we'll be coming to what is SEL, but for now, just maybe look at the structure of this wheel of emotions. It has an innermost circle which has some primary or basic emotions. These are seven in total. And then when you further see this, each segment, each section is further divided. For example, happy is further divided into playful, content, interested. And then each of them is then further divided into the outermost section. For example, interested is further divided into curious and inquisitive, right? So maybe just give a few more seconds to a minute to this wheel of emotion, because our emotional vocabulary is very limited. For example, whenever someone asks from us that how are you feeling, how are you doing, we just reply it in few words. For example, I would say I'm feeling good, bad, happy, sad, maybe bored, exhausted, but that's it, right? We don't have much diverse words for expressing our emotions, right?
So,
So
would it be possible for you to please make it in the slideshow format?
sure, let me do
Thank
that.
you.
Okay, so you want me to go for slideshow, right? Okay. Okay, are you able to see it in slideshow format now? Is it visible to you guys now? Okay, so maybe Madiha can share the presentation if some people are facing difficulty.
So we had a little bit of challenge with the candidates were not able to see the wheel that you're talking about. So we will be sharing the presentation from our own end, and that will help everyone see it.
Yes,
So
sure.
we will continue, and we will be sharing it shortly. Okay.
Okay, okay, sure. So, yeah, I would just like you all to, whenever it's shared, just go through that wheel of emotions and just quickly, obviously, we don't expect us to memorize the whole wheel, but maybe your brain would be able to register a few words of emotions, and that will help you in an exercise that we're about to start after that, right? Okay, great. Okay, and meanwhile, when till the presentation is shared, can you all maybe okay, so the presentation is here. Are you all able to see it now? And maybe if you any of you have difficulty in looking at this wheel of emotion, you may can directly Google it. Just write wheel of emotions, and you will be able to see this picture. And just let me know by raise of hands when you are done. Giving it a glimpse and just reading it. Yeah, that view is particularly very interesting, and usually psychologists use in for various psychotherapies and different approaches that they use. Okay, so I'm assuming that all of you might have given it a glimpse and read few of those sections and words. Yes, it provides us with emotional vocabulary. You are right. Okay, great. So majority of us have now, seen this wheel of emotion. So now I would request Madhya to go towards the next slide. Okay, so now I would like you all to think of a task that you have been postponing, that you guys have been delaying, or feeling not motivated enough to initiate that task. It could be from your work life, it could be from your personal life. Some of students have joined us today, so maybe any of your assignment or project that you have been delaying, or maybe any of the thing that you have planned for your personal growth, for your career growth. It could be anything. Just think of a task that you have not been able to achieve yet. And maybe when you are done thinking or selecting a particular task that you have been postponing, in which you are facing difficulty feeling motivated enough, so you may just show it or indicate it by a thumbs up, or maybe raise of hand, whatever works for you. Okay, great. So almost all of us have been able to select a particular thing that we have been delaying, right? So now I would be taking you all towards the imagination journey, right? So we call it as guided imagery exercise. Why we have given it this particular name? Because I will be guiding your imagination. I'll be instructing you few things here and there, and you will be following my instructions and creating a visual in your imagination, right? But before that, let me just briefly introduce you with few of its technicalities that I'll be asking you in a few moments to close your eyes so that we can begin with our imaginary journey. And I would really appreciate if you guys can sit with your back supported. Maybe you can sit, by your back supported by your seat, or maybe you can lean against a wall. So whatever possible option that you have currently. So just make sure that your back is supported when we are into this guided imagery exercise. And one more thing is about deep breathing. So we'll be starting this journey by taking few deep breaths. So what is the technical procedure of doing deep breaths is basically inhale through your nose, right? Make sure you are just inhaling through your nose, because some of us tend to inhale through our mouth too. So just make sure we are inhaling through our nose, and then we are exhaling through our mouth. And in between these two steps, inhaling and exhaling, we'll be holding our breath, because it is called deep breathing. That means your breath should go deep inside your body, right? So I'll be inhaling it in a way that my breath goes down towards my tummy or stomach, toward my belly, right? And it should raise, like when we blow a balloon, it blows up and it comes out. So that's how your tummy should act. It should blow out when you are sending your breath deep inside, right? So we'll be doing it in this way, like I'll be inhaling, and I usually follow the formula of 4 4 6. What does it mean? It means that I'll be inhaling for 4 seconds, then I'll be holding my breath inside my belly for 4 seconds, and then I'll be exhaling my breath out slowly for 6 seconds, right? So exhaling time should be more than inhaling and holding time, right? So if you will do it this way, then the imagination and the relaxing thing that will be more effective for you, right? Okay, so some of you have mentioned here the different tasks that you guys have been postponing. Great. Okay, so now I would request you all, and for this particular exercise, till we are doing the, I'll be just closing my video, right? So I'll be connected with you, and when we'll be ending that, I'll be taking a minute or two to again turn on my camera, right? Due to some again technical things that are related with this guided imagery exercise. Okay, so I would like you all to close your eyes and sit with your back supported and start taking deep breaths. Inhale through your nose, hold your breath for a few seconds, and slowly exhale through your mouth. Very good. Inhale, hold, and slowly exhale. Please continue taking deep breaths. And with every breath that you are taking, you are feeling more and more relaxed, more and more calmer. Now, I would like you all to think about the task that you have been delaying, postponing, or have not been feeling motivated enough to initiate that task. And just notice when you have started thinking about that task, what picture is your mind showing you? What can you see in your imagination? Maybe some of you can see yourself sitting in your workplace. Some people might can see themselves sitting in their homes. So just notice which place you are in. Now, I would like you all to pay attention that what noises or sounds can you hear from your background when you are thinking about that task. Maybe if in your imagination you are at your workplace, you can might hear sound of your boss, or maybe your colleagues chatting in the background, or maybe if you are a student, you can see yourself sitting in a classroom and can see and hear the sounds surrounding you. Just notice where you are and what sounds can you hear in that particular imagination. Now notice what thoughts are coming to your mind. Maybe your mind is thinking that I'll do it tomorrow or maybe another day. Maybe your mind is thinking that I'll start doing that when I'll have the best congenial environment. Or maybe your mind is thinking that I'm not so good at it, or I might not be able to do this. Just notice what your mind is trying to tell you. And now I would like you to just enter into that picture and fuse with yourself and just experience that how it feels to be in that moment when you are delaying your task. And continue taking deep breaths. Now, slowly and gradually settle your awareness into your bodies and notice what emotions are you carrying when you are thinking about that task that you have been delaying since ages. Just name out that emotion in your head and notice where is it located in your body. Some people feel that emotion in their chest, some in their head, some in their tummies, and some in some other places of their body. Just notice where that emotion is located and continue taking deep breaths. You might be feeling uncertain, you might be feeling sad for not being able to do that task, you might be critical towards yourself, you might be feeling guilty, remorseful, or maybe just anxious that you're not able to do it yet. Just notice what emotion are you carrying and in which place is it located. Now pay attention that what color does that emotion possess? Or maybe it's just colorless. As you are continuing to take deep breaths, I would like you to notice that what shape does your emotion possess? Can you see it in circular form, square, oval, rectangle, maybe like a cube, a block, or maybe it's just shapeless like a fog, water, or air? Just notice its structure. Now, As you are continuing to take deep breaths, I would like you to notice that what texture your emotion possess. Just imagine that if you have the capacity to hold your emotion into your hands, how it might feel against your skin. Is it rough, smooth, slippery? What texture does your emotion possess? Continue taking deep breaths with your eyes closed and just notice what emotions are you carrying about that task that you are postponing. What shape does it have? Its texture, color, shape. Now, I would like you all to just listen and see and hear what your emotion is trying to communicate to you. Just assume that your emotion has capacity to talk to you and just listen actively that what it is trying to communicate to you. And it's okay if you're not able to hear what it's trying to communicate with you. Continue taking deep breaths. And now I would like you all to place your hand on that body part of yours where you are experiencing that emotion. It's completely okay if in this exercise your mind wanders here and there. Just connect back again and again with your emotion. And just now put your hand to that place where you are experiencing that emotion and slowly and gradually start rubbing that area with lots of love, compassion, and kindness. Just slowly pat that area of your body as you continue taking deep breaths. Now, I would like you all to repeat these phrases after me and communicate to your emotions. You can stay in my body as long as you would like to. You are my guest, and I welcome you with open arms. You are my friend, and I know that you are here to communicate something with me, and I am ready to listen. You are my friend, you are my guest, and you can stay in my body as long as you would like to. I will not resist you. I will not push you away. I will not ask you to go away. I accept you wholeheartedly. You are welcome in my body and you can stay here as long as you would like to. Now, I would like you all to you may just add few more phrases that whatever you would like to communicate to your emotions. Please do so. And continue taking deep breaths while you're communicating with your emotion and slowly and gradually keep rubbing that part of your body while providing it with love and compassion. Now, whenever you may feel ready, you can slowly start connecting with this present moment when you are in this session listening to my voice, and slowly and gradually, whenever you are ready, you may open your eyes. There is no hurry, you may take your time. And whenever you are out of that experience, you may indicate that with raise of hands or thumbs up. Okay, great. So maybe in a few moments, you'll be seeing a poll at your screens, and you'll be able to give me a brief, information about your this experience, and then inshallah we'll be dissecting this experience, particularly that how it is related to my emotions, my motivation. Thank you so much. Okay, so whenever you guys would be done voting, we'll be connecting and dissecting this particular experience furthermore. Okay, so thank you so much for your comments and for sharing your experiences. We will now be, dissecting it on technical level so we can understand what was it and how we can connect this with our motivation levels and how we can utilize that to understand our circuitry of motivation so that we can have the control to flip the motivation switch. Okay, so meanwhile, we are connecting with our, showing up our presentation again. I would like you all to just go back to that experience again. And I'll be requesting Madiha, maybe you can, with your raise of hands, indicate to Madiha that who is interested in coming to the front stage. And I would just like to, maybe we have, as per time, maybe you can share two participants can share their experiences, and they can share their experiences on the basis of that, what emotion that they were able to name out, what color, what sensory experiences were there. For example, what was the texture of their emotion, whatever things that I was guiding you towards. And maybe they can also tell me that was their emotion was communicating something to them or not. And if they were able to communicate with them, then where they were able to come to a sort of resolution, or towards a negotiating point. How was the dialogue? So I would just request any, maybe one or two of you, to share your experience so that we all can better connect and take that example forward. Thank you, Madhya. So, can you please put someone to the stage so they can share their experience? Okay, so what usually happens is in a moment when you guys will be able to come to the stage. So what usually happens when I have been practicing this particular exercise a lot of my clients. So what usually happens is that obviously we have a lot of layers to us, right? So some people are able to connect with their emotion, be able to name that out, and some people have not been able to, they are not really used to with connecting with their emotions. So it's also completely fine if you had difficulty in naming your emotion out, right? And for some people, they have a difference in the sensory characteristics of their emotion pre and post. For example, some people share that the texture of that their emotion was rough initially, but when they were about to end the exercise, they could feel a little bit, relaxation in that tough, rough texture. So some people also experience the change of shape towards the end. Some people also experience the change of color. And if even you're not able to experience that change, that is also completely fine, because emotions actually have a life of their own. Even the word emotion has been derived from E and motion, which means energy, is for energy, and motion means movement, right? So even though as a layman we consider emotion as something abstract, hypothetical, not having a physical existence, but that's not a reality. Our emotions do have a physical existence of their own, and that's why you guys were able to tell about its color, shape, and different, visible physical characteristics. So they have a life of their own, and they do change when we give them acceptance. We do not resist them, and we create a friendly environment for them, right? When we welcome them wholeheartedly. And it's also completely fine if some of you were not able to get to a resolution, because it takes time. When I'm saying that it has a life of their own, so it's like just any other human being. When you are able to connect with some people and be and have a cordial and friendly relationship with them, and there are some people to which you are not able to have in a very smooth relationship, and you it takes time for you and them to develop that cordial relationship, right? So same happens with our emotion, and it's completely fine if you are not able to achieve any of that step. It's also completely fine. Okay, so are we sharing any of our experiences here? Because then might better be able to connect with the concepts that we are later studying and discussing with motivation.
So I will share my experience in during the eyes closed part. Since I'm living very far from my mother, so I was able to imagine cuddling her, and the sensation was felt in my hair, and it was like a soft cotton-like sensation. I could imagine the blue color. It was my first time experiencing all this, but I think there were a lot of things that I was able to feel. So I think the soft part, the soft cotton part, I think I can relate to her hand probably. That her hand was running in my hair, so it was a really nice experience for me. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. And is there anyone of you who, obviously our unconscious selects the picture or that visualization, right? So is there anyone of you here who was able to come up with a picture? Maybe they are delaying a particular task that is maybe related to their workplace, maybe assigned by their supervisor, boss. Okay, so maybe if some of you would like to tell me through chat that what emotion were they able to name out, and how was the experience, particularly in terms of were they able to experience any change towards the end? Oh, that's thank you so much for sharing this. That I'm glad that you were be able to self-aware about your emotions, and very smart of you that you were taking them step by step, one by one. So that's great. And for sure, because when we and it happens in a lot of cultures and a lot of personalities too, that we are not able to connect with our emotion, right? So they are also afraid from us. That's why we have that painful sensation when we are first time experiencing those emotions. So it's all completely fine. And when we'll be when we keep coming back to our emotions and keep connecting back to our emotions, so slowly and gradually we'll have got a relationship with them, and that painful experience would slowly go away. Okay, so now I would, and you guys may keep sharing your experiences through chat. I might come back to them later. So, Madhya, can you please go to his next slide? Okay, sense of emptiness. Okay, so what is social emotional learning? Because as I said in start of session, that we'll be talking about emotions in terms of SEL, right? So social emotional learning basically comprises of all those programs that tends to enhance our emotional skills, our social skills, our emotional intelligence, our emotional competencies and social competencies, right? So all those programs that are able to enhance these aspects of ours, they are included in SEL, right? So here I have just put it up five major constructs that are included in social emotional learning. What are they? They are self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. There are some more other than these one, like conflict management, decision making, but they all come under the umbrella of these five major constructs, right? So what we did through this exercise, that first we become self-aware that what emotions am I experiencing, right? As some of you mentioned that you felt pain, you felt hurt, right? So become self-aware of about our emotions. Then what we did that we explored that further, right? We because when we try to know someone, when we are interested in starting a new friendship, so what we do, we tend to know more about that person, right? We ask questions. So we did same with our emotions. We become more self-aware that what emotions am I holding on to, right? Then I self regulated that emotion through the dialogue, which utilizes the use of social skills, that I was able to create a safe place for my emotion through my social skills. I conveyed my empathy also by the sense of touch when I was rubbing and consoling that emotion, right? And obviously we'll be talking about motivation as a whole, that how these concepts are related to the emotions. So I hope by now you guys have concept of what is SEL, all those programs, curriculums that enhances my social and emotional skills, and they majorly incorporate these five areas. And through this experiential exercise we sort of had a flavor of that what it actually means to be self-aware, to be self-regulated, to show empathy towards myself too and towards others too, and how I can use my social skills to create a more safe place for myself and for others too, right? So please go to his next slide. Okay, so through this particular exercise and by some of the exercises that are coming up next, so we are trying to understand our circuitry of motivation, right? So let me go towards the next concept, and then you'll be better able to understand that why we are discussing emotion when we are talking about motivation. So have you guys, I'm hoping the answer is yes, have you guys seen that cartoon Scooby Dooby Doo? Maybe you can tell me through chat or by raise of your hands. Okay, two of you, three, four, five. Okay, okay. So almost each one of us has seen that cartoon or movie Scooby Doo, right? So if you remember that, what happens by the end of the episode, that when they take off or pull off the mask of the ghost, it's actually not the ghost. It's usually someone else who was causing all the troubles, right? If you remember that, okay. So the same thing happens with our motivation levels too. We often assume that probably I am lazy, I don't have time, or maybe I'm procrastinating. So no, we just blame our procrastination and our laziness, right? But actually, they are not the actual culprits. Actual culprits are those emotions, those stuck emotions that are not being able to have a movement of their own, right? So, what happens is we'll be discussing four of those actual culprits. There are some others too, but these are usually the four that the majority of us experience. The first one is perfectionist fear. Why am I not being able to initiate some of my tasks or not being able to do as I have been planning certain tasks to do? Because I expect myself to be perfect, and we all logically know that perfection is nothing. It's an unrealistic goal, right? For example, if I talk about different religions, no matter which religion do you follow, but in usually all the scriptures, they have pointed this thing out that only God is the perfect being, right? And even if somebody does not follow any religion, believes in atheism, so we also know through science that all the physical systems, all the mathematical systems, they don't give you 100% confidence interval, right? We always set in our statistics 95, maybe 99, but that's also of a lesser chance. So nothing in this world is perfect, but we somehow have this subconscious idea that maybe my environment needs to be perfect, right? For example, maybe if I just create a hypothetical example, that maybe if this organization invites me for this particular session, so if I have this perfectionism fear in me, what I might decline this opportunity to connect with you all, right? Why? Because I'm expecting that I do not have perfect skills and experience to conduct this particular session, and I need to have a certain standard of skills, right? Maybe I need to do PhD or maybe postdoc to conduct this session, right? And maybe I'll assume that my environment is not perfect enough. For example, maybe if somebody is from South Asia, so we know that we do have some internet connection issues. Um, so maybe if I'll assume that I'll not be able to conduct a session well enough, or maybe when we just started this session, there were some technical issues that I was not able to share the presentation, or maybe you guys were not able to see it in a full view, right? So if I had this perfectionist mindset, then I might have become more anxious, might have just logged off with this session, right? But I do understand that perfectionism is nothing. It's completely fine if we have some technical issues. It's completely fine if I make some mistakes with maybe if the imagery exercise that we just did, maybe I was not fluent enough, because it's okay. English is not my first language, right? So it's completely fine. Nobody of us is perfect. And it's basically our emotion, the perfectionist fear, that constrict me in initiating that particular task. So can any of you, maybe through chat or by coming to stage, share their experience that yes, they have experienced that perfectionist fear? Okay, so meanwhile, I'm just looking at your chat messages. And yes, you are right, Yang, that different emotions come up with different colors, different textures. So you are right. Okay. I'm glad that you were able to drop that for good. Great. Okay, so maybe Stephen can, yeah, sure. Hello.
Hello, thank you so much for sharing your presentation and exercise. So actually, due to my internet connection just now, I could only experience part of that, especially the beginning part about the color emotions. So
Mm,
actually, I'm also wondering, will that be different when I'm during other times when I feel much more relaxed or much more
mm.
stressful? Will that the color be different? And also, in theory or theory wise, how can we see the connection between colors and emotions? Yeah.
Yes, yes, a very good insight that that you just developed, that maybe different emotions would represent through different colors. You are right, and for sure you can experience that on your own too, and also always explore that theoretically too. Thank you for sharing your experience.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have,
Hello.
yes, hello.
So yeah, my experience when you were actually giving the whole experience thing, I was taken back to the athletics track because I've been postponing to actually start training with the team. And
Mm,
also I could kind of feel like a bit of a breeze, and I could also
mm,
like smell the tar. And then I had this heat
mm,
background. That's the type of color I was getting, like this heat and fatigue and overwhelming experience.
mm,
But then as I
mm.
took my breath in, right, I was then taken to the track where we actually run, and then you would have this lactic feeling, which gives you like this good sensation, which is almost like an indicator for you to know that you've actually pushed yourself beyond that pain and you're actually training correctly. And that actually made me feel relaxed.
Okay, that's really, really great to hear that from fatigue you were able to feel relaxed. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. And now, as we're talking about perfectionist fear, so is there any one of you who have that perfectionist fear thing and can now, pull off the mask and can now identify that, okay, it was not and was never my laziness. It was never about my procrastination. It was actually my perfectionist fear. Can any of you identify that? Okay, so we have Mail Ahmed on the stage.
Yeah, Samuel.
Hello.
So yeah, so about the perfectionist fear, I think sometimes when I'm doing certain things, I would kind of want to like get it done to perfection, but then oftentimes when I don't, it would sort of nag me a lot, and I don't think I should let that nag me. Maybe I should just focus on improving it. That's something that I've experienced a few times. Yeah.
Okay, great. And you are right. Even technically and in psychological terms, we also divide in two ways: clinical perfectionism and adaptive perfectionism. So, adaptive perfectionism is good, that we are always aiming for our growth. That's good. But clinical perfectionism is when I have said, some unrealistic goals for me, and I'm just waiting for that perfect moment to start. Okay, so now I'll be moving towards the next culprit, that is creative inertia, and then maybe after that I can also hear from the rest of the participants. Okay, so what is creative inertia? Maybe some of us have studied the concept of inertia in our physics class in maybe school or high school. And if you remember that inertia is basically defined as that an object tend to remains at the state of rest until unless an external force is applied to that, right? So we all also tend to carry that inertia in terms of motivation. How? Because of my uncontrollable creativity, right? Maybe if I go back to that wheel of emotion, so maybe the emotions of unfocused or overwhelming, or maybe even energetic and curiosity can lead you towards creative inertia. What happens is that I have a lot of ideas, a lot of creative ideas, that I tend to feel a block that, where to start from. For example, maybe like, for example, somebody in your organization, the organization that is currently in cooperation with me. So maybe Madiha has been assigned the task to, you know to organize a workshop on this particular topic, right? So maybe Madiha would have a lot of topics coming up to her head, that maybe I can do it on motivation from SEL perspective, from maybe goal setting perspective. There are a lot of perspectives that we can take into account. So she'll start coming, have a lot of creative ideas, and maybe she'll start having a lot of ideas about which speakers to call on and how to execute this plan, right? So some of us have this creative inertia where we are feeling so much energy inside us that we're not able to properly channelize and turn that into behaviors, right? So for some of us, when we'll pull off the mask of procrastination and laziness, it's actually creative inertia, that we have a lot of ideas about how to go about that particular thing, that we are just, stuck in those ideas, and we're not able to change that into action or behavior. So do we have anyone here who have experienced this creative inertia? Yes, well, for sure. Memories also tend to have this. Yes. So we have, I guess, Divya Preet Kaur on stage.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, so I think it's linked to my perfectionist fear,
Hmm.
creative inertia, because like I want things to be done in a certain manner. So when
Hmm.
I have like so many options, so I tend to like postpone it. Like I
Hmm.
just fear, like I don't know, it becomes very overwhelming for me sometimes to actually pick out because I want it to be perfect. So I
Hmm.
think these two concepts are linked in that way.
Yes, you are right.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that you were able to identify that, due to my fear, due to this experience of, as you named it, as overwhelming feeling, right? So
Yeah.
all the culprits are technically my emotions, who are not, let me move ahead and turn my creativity into action.
Exactly.
Yes. Good that you were able to identify.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I'll be moved towards the third one, that is overwhelmed avoider. So, in this particular thing, again, we feel a lot of anxiousness, and we feel overwhelmed, we feel sort of startled and panicked. Why? Because I see my goal like a mountain, like a huge mountain that I have to climb and reach towards the top, right? So obviously I have to take a lot of steps, there are a lot of kilometers that I have to, complete. So that seems a huge, overwhelming task for me. So what do we do subconsciously? That we try to avoid that task because of the fear, because of the feeling of anxiousness and panic. For example, maybe I was seeing the participants' records, so there are a lot of graduates and internees here in this session. So maybe some of you might be planning to apply to a certain graduate program for your master's or maybe for PhD. But what usually happens is that I see as a student as a huge task, right? Because obviously I might have to write my GRE exam, general GRE, and the particular subject wise GRE. Then I have to prepare a lot of applications for different universities. Then I have to search a lot that which program has, is aligned with my particular interest, and I have to obviously write a research proposal, right? So I have to get admission, and for that I'm seeing a stack of tasks, and that is making me feel overwhelmed. So by due to that feeling of overwhelmness and anxiousness and fear, I tend to avoid my task, right? So again, it's about emotions. So do we have anyone here who would like to share their experience about feeling overwhelmed and tend to avoid that task as a result of that particular feeling? Okay. Right. So Rehab has that experience. I hope I'm pronouncing your names correctly. Please pardon me if I am making any mistakes. Okay, so is there anyone who would like to come on stage and share their experience about being overwhelmed avoider?
Hel- Hello. Uh,
Hello.
Thank you for your presentation and for pointing out actual culprits. So a long time ago, I used to feel like I was, okay, not too long ago, but I used to see it as, like uh, being lazy or not just being able to do a task. So I would avoid it altogether. But the more I did things that were difficult for me because there were things I had to do that got me out of that headspace. I just learned that the more I broke down the goal into smaller steps, the easier it became to achieve it. And it was such a good, I don't know if I should say reward to see myself at the end of the process and just realize that this is the thing that I don't know, maybe like a year ago, I totally wouldn't have attempted. So, yeah,
Great.
thank you.
Yeah, and that shows that you have, really high-end emotional intelligence skills, that you were able to identify that, oh, it's just my feeling of, overwhelm. And due to this, I am seeing it as a huge mountain of tasks. In reality, they are just small steps that I need to take. And you were able to, break that down and into smaller steps. So congratulations that you were able to do that, and I'm really happy to see how you were able to self-regulate yourself when it comes to emotions. Okay, yes. So now coming to the next and the last culprit for now, that is busy bee. And in that, maybe let me just first define that what is busy bee. So a busy bee is someone who is, maybe if we look at that wheel of emotions, so that person would identify with maybe feelings of unfocused and in the other feelings in that area, that division. So what happens is, for example, maybe I'll have to prepare for this particular presentation. I'm making presentation, and alongside that, I open another tab and I start using social media accounts, and then I maybe open up another tab and I start checking my mails, right? So what happens is that due to our the emotions of being unfocused, we tend to lose our focus and we tend to not being able to better prioritize our task, right? So due to lack of prioritization, we sometimes experience this feeling of unfocused, and we, as we usually say, that look busy and do nothing. So that sort of experience happens to us, that I might say that I have been on the laptop for last 10 hours, but still I've not been able to complete my task, right? So this is the last culprit, that is PCB. And for sure, there are some metrics. I'm just naming a one here right now, that is Eisenhower metrics. So I'm just writing that down in chat as well. So maybe after this session, you guys can explore that onto your own, but it basically talks about that how I can categorize my tasks into what is urgent and important, what is urgent but not important, what is not important but urgent, and those tasks which are not urgent, not important, right? So for sure, we have, for now, talk about different culprits, and those culprits are basically our emotions. So if you have better social emotional skills, that those 4 or 5 constructs that that were visible in the previous slide: self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social skills. So if we'll have better emotional intelligence, we will be able to identify these 4 culprits in that particular moment where we are experiencing that lack of motivation sense, right? And after identification of that, we can then take our steps into the right direction. For example, if I have perfectionist fear, so I can repetitively tell myself that perfectionism is an unrealistic goal, right? So maybe these sort of positive affirmations can help me. And when I'm talking about creative inertia, so maybe writing down your ideas can better help you to take action on that, right? Because when something is in head, there are a lot of things that I have to catch up to, right? But when something is on paper, I have a better visible picture, and I that can push me towards taking behavioral actions, right? If I am that person who identifies with overwhelmed avoider, then, as our participant mentioned, that what works for her is breaking down those major tasks into small steps, right? And for busy bee, we can use a metrics like that to have a better sense of, task prioritization, right? Okay, so now by this, I would like to go towards the next slide, please. Okay, so for now, we have been talking about some intrinsic factors. Like, my idea was to introduce you all with some intrinsic factors. Like, we were talking about turning on our motivation switch. So, we need to understand about our own motivation circuitry, right? Just pushing the button would not work alone until unless I understand that how my particular circuitry works. Am I, am I overwhelmed avoider? Am I a busy bee? What sort of emotions do I experience that restricts me towards turning my motivation into an action? And I would also like to add this thing that though as a layman, we tend to assume motivation as an emotion, right? But if you have just, you have seen that wheel of emotion, motivation was not written down there. Why? Because in reality, motivation is a verb, right? It's an action. It's not a feeling, it's not an emotion. So the more steps you take, the more behavioral actions that you take, the more motivated you feel as a result of that, right? So it's a opposite circuitry that when I start taking action, when I open up my laptop, when I make that appointment that I need to make to the salon, so then I'll be able to take action, then I'll be able to feel motivated, right? So taking first step is very much necessary, right? So for now, we have been understanding from social emotional perspective, and that majorly included emotional part, that is included intrinsic factors, that what culprits are residing inside me intrinsically that are restricting me towards achieving that task, right? Now, I would like to shift towards extrinsic factors also, social factors. Do you guys have any idea that what extrinsic factors might include? That what are those things in my environment, in my social surrounding that can have an effect on my motivation level? People's opinion, right? Drug use, yeah. For sure, they can change my neurotransmitters and I can feel high and motivated. The energy of the people around me show rewards and appreciation. Yes, that works a lot. Friends, family, feedback, weather. Yes, weather also has a lot of effect on our motivation level. I'm sure we all experience that seasonal depression sort of a thing, not an diagnosing thing, but just as experience. Social issues, yes. Associations, very good. So you all have an idea about what extrinsic factors might include: busy schedule, organized physical environment, for sure, the policies around us, the people around us. You guys all are on very right track. Okay, so you all have an idea of what extrinsic factors include, right? So Madhya, please go towards next slide. So I would specifically be talking about role of culture when it comes to social skills and emotional skills, right? Because that is, like it has a mediating effect, that it mediates their relationship with our motivation levels, right? So, and before going towards that, I would also like to add that our surroundings, because we are talking about flipping the motivation switch, right? That means that I need to have the control over my switch. I should be able to turn it on whenever I need that, and I should be able to turn it off when I don't need that, right? So the control should be in my hand. So when I'll become more aware about my cultural factors, about my social factors, then I am going to be the one who's going to decide whether I need to be influenced with that cultural factor or not, right? So it's not about culture, it's about my susceptibility or suggestibility towards culture. The more susceptible I am towards extrinsic factors, the more influence those factors would have on me, right? And the less influence they have on me, I'll be better able to control. So And there is nothing wrong to be influenced by culture, to be influenced by social factors, to be influenced by extrinsic factors. The idea here is that control should be in my hand, that I am going to be the one who is going to consciously decide that yes, this thing in my culture is very helpful for me, and I need to take and adapt this thing, right? And maybe this part of my culture is not very helpful for my personality, so maybe I need to be less susceptible towards it, right? So there is no right and wrong thing. It's about helpful and unhelpful, and it also varies depending on my personality. Some factors could be helpful for me and might not be helpful for Madiha, right? And some factors could not be helpful for me but might might be working well for Madiha, right? So it's about my individual personality too. So the relationship between my intrinsic and extrinsic factors technically. Okay, so here I'll be just giving you few examples that how culture influences my emotional intelligence and my social skills, right? For example, there are few cultures in which, for example, there's a kid who has just fallen down on the ground and has hurt himself or herself, right? So in some cultures, what adults tend to do in some cultures, they would tell him or her, that kid, about more of a rational experience of that, right? Maybe I'll talk to him or her like, it's okay, you can stand up again, and it's falling down is part of life, and it's okay, you can get up again, start walking again, right? So I am talking more in terms of rationality, right? And there are some cultures who might express their emotions in a way that, oh, you are hurt, and maybe that floor is hurt too. Oh, that floor is also weeping. Would you like to maybe console the floor, right? So we all have different ways of expressing our emotions in culture. When I'm talking about rationality, it's also not without emotions, right? I am experiencing that emotion, and it's just my different way of expressing that emotion. And when I'm naming those emotions out, that also one way of expressing my emotion in different cultures. And when I am sort of giving emotional characteristics to a non-living object, that's also few ways, few approaches in which few cultures tend to express their emotions, right? Giving um, non-living objects some sensory characteristics or some emotional characteristics, right? So we all are very different in terms of culture influence, that how in my culture emotions are expressed, right? Similarly, when we are talking about social skills also vary across cultures. For example, obviously, when I'm talking about having cordial relationship with my emotion, so obviously, one part is intrapersonal when I'm talking to my own emotions, and the other side of is when I am relating with another person, trying to understand his or her emotion experience, right? So in some parts of culture, maintaining an eye contact when you are listening to somebody is considered very helpful and good, right? Then probably that person in front of you might be able to connect with you better, right? So eye contact's a major part of some cultures. But in contrast to that, in some cultures, not maintaining an eye contact is a sign of respect, right? It's a sign of showing honor to that other person. So the social skills also vary across cultures. We are a very diverse population. So we just need to understand the different dynamics, that how my emotional intelligence and my social skills has been maybe till now subconsciously been influenced by my culture. So is there any one of you might take a minute or two and think of an example that you can for now identify that yes, my emotional intelligence and my social skills are influenced by my culture in this particular way. So is there anyone of you who would like to share his or her experience? Okay, Swedish culture. So maybe if you would like to share with us, because I am not, aware of their culture related to happiness. So maybe you like to come on stage and share that, so we all can learn how in different cultures, emotions are expressed very differently.
So the movies and the documentaries that I've seen about the Swedish culture, they enjoy the process of cooking and eating, and using the products, using the organic products during the seasons. So, for example, compared to my culture where I am based, we will have all the vegetables, all the fruits throughout the season. So you're
Hmm.
not having the produce of the season, and you
Hmm.
are having the access to all those things throughout the year, which does not give them any special treatment in our
Oh,
household. That
yeah.
it is a seasonal thing that it should be like
Hmm.
enjoyed and cherish that way.
Hmm.
Also,
Hmm.
it is a culture when you wake up in the morning, you are rushing up and doing things like four or five things at a time. Compared to the Swedish culture, they would like make their coffee in peaceful environment with
Hmm.
the background music going on, and
Hmm.
take their time to like cherish the
Hmm.
coffee in this space. Also, since they have a nice natural landscape, they enjoy the walks and in the landscape in the mountains, so they are
Hmm.
connected to nature as well. So I think I would like to like adapt all those things from their culture and make it part of my life.
Yes, very good insight. That's what we are looking for. That, as I said, that there's nothing right or wrong. It's about helpful and unhelpful and what works for me. So it's good that we are able to identify that, okay, this culture has some good things that might be good for me, helpful for me, and I can adapt that from them, right? And very good examples that you shared, that through food in some cultures that they interact with each other, so that's a reflection of their social skills too, right? And a way of expressing their emotions and cultivating their relationship, right? And that for sure re-energizes our motivation level. So thank you for sharing. Okay, we have Mayanka.
Um, so I was talking about waking up early, which is like part of culture in like Southeast Asia,
Hmm.
and this has been like a major like topic of contention between me and my mother. So the first thing, whenever there is an argument, the first thing that is there is that you don't wake up early, so you're like you are
Hmm.
starting your day late.
Hmm.
um all of that, so it that I think that comes from here. Waking up
Yes.
early is like it's important, it's give you a lot of time during the day, but
Hmm.
on the other hand, I feel that my productivity is better at night because it's all silent and there are
Yes.
nothing happening outside. So
Yes.
that is a contradiction that's going on
Yes, and
in
now,
my home.
and now we understand that technically it's not contradiction, just we both are different, me and my mother. Something works for her from the culture and something does not work for me from my culture, right? So, and I completely agree, for some people night time, because again, as we were practicing that guided imagery, so we went into that relaxation zone through deep breaths. So for some people, for feeling motivated and productive, they need to have that silent surrounding, right? And for some people, waking up early and feeling that that fresh air, that rising of sun, that gives them energy. So it's good that now we are now able to see how different aspects of our culture design our circuitry, and I am hoping that now we'll be better able to have the control in our hands, and to to switch on and off our motivation levels whenever we decide them to be. So I hope this session has been some fruitful for you. Would might bring some more control in your life when it comes to motivation level, and I hope that after this session, you guys would be able to recognize, identify your actual culprits in the moment when you are feeling lazy or procrastination, and you'll better be able to regulate your emotions as just did through the initial guided imagery exercise, right? And there's a poll here on your screens, and this also reminds me of another tip that I can sort of give you guys, is that initially what we did, we thought of and we select of an occasion, a task that we have been dealing, and we went through that experience to understand our circuitry better, right? So we can have better control over that. We can also think of a personal goal or a dream, maybe that you have already achieved in your past, right? And when you go through the same experience again connecting with your emotion, as as one of the participants was sharing that she'll try to now be more aware that whether different emotions comes up with different color, right? So maybe connecting with that particular emotion when you were able to feel motivated and achieve your task, and identifying what were those emotions, what were their colors and everything, and what sort of dialogue, positive dialogue I'm expecting there. So what sort of positive dialogue that emotion had there that helped me in initiating and completing my task, right? So maybe that's another way to look at this approach to understand my circuitry, even further better. For sure. So maybe we can also explore. I'm just reading your chat messages. So yeah, I think that's another way to look at things, because everything is interconnected, right? My biology, my culture, my psychological reality, my physical reality, everything is interconnected. So we need to assess and see what is helpful for me and what is not so helpful for me, because again, as we're just talking about that even science cannot say anything with 100% surety, and we have seen some studies in past that have been refuted completely, right? So maybe we can go from what we say as deducing approach, that I'll deduce maybe my formula by my own experience. So maybe experiencing different things, that okay, why I was able to achieve that particular task, why I was feeling motivated in that particular task, and why I'm not feeling motivated in completing this particular task, right? So maybe we baat ke analyzing and deducing my experiences repetitively can give me a better understanding of my own circuitry and how to flip my motivation switch. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I can also see here that maybe we are in different geographical locations, but some of our experiences are very much shared, especially when it comes to parents and their instructions. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Are there any further questions that you would like me to answer? So please. Okay, and if any one of you would have any question regarding to this particular topic, any other thing, so for sure you guys can contact me through my LinkedIn profile, or I also have a page on Facebook by Therapy Nest name. That is particularly related to therapy. So I do post certain events, the upcoming events that I'm taking part in. So maybe you guys, if you ever feel like joining there, so you can join me guys there. And also I post certain things related to psychology as well. So maybe you have a better understanding of your own self, and you have ever have any query, so you may message me there or at my LinkedIn profile. I'll be available, inshallah. You're
Thank
welcome.
you so much for the session. And the guided imagery exercise was my favorite part. And I was able to recognize the emotions, and I really enjoyed cherishing the thought of cuddling my mother. So that was something really interesting for me. I'm sure it was different for all the candidates who were attending this session. Thank you once again. Is it possible for you to write the name of your Facebook page in the chat so that people can follow you? And I think those of the candidates who had low motivation and they were not upbeat, I'm very much hopeful that after the session they're really upbeat and ready for the year going ahead.
Yeah, I hope so too. And maybe if you have any suggestions that how, in future, if we ever plan to do a topic, a similar topic. So if there's anything else that you would like to talk about more, for example, somebody suggested about, prioritization of tasks. So yes, sure, you can.
Perfect. Yeah, Fatin. I can ask you to come on stage. Yeah, so I've invited Fatin and they'll be here shortly. So we will definitely catch up with you on that and maybe organize more sessions along those lines and have you once again. Also, Somal, the candidates who have attended from Global Citizenship Foundation, they will be having the certificates of attendance of this workshop and we will
Mm.
get in touch to get them signed from you as well. So thank you once again.
Sure, sure, sure. I'd be happy to do so. You're welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Sobal, the session was great. I enjoyed it very much.
Thank
And
you.
actually, I want to say that I have been affected of all these culprits
Hmm.
at different stage of my life. And one point I was super confused
Hmm.
about select one field, that which field I should select or which goal I should achieve, because I was confused about different fields and goals I was trying to do achieve every different kind of interest. So I was very disturbed with it, and I
Hmm.
figured out that I can't achieve everything. Yeah, I can't achieve everything, so I
Hmm.
need to be stick to one goal that I
Yes.
really want to achieve it. And and to be stick with that goal, it's important that I have some motivation and inspiration, and moreover some external pressure means someone's who is forcing me to achieve my goal or helping me to achieve my goal. So I developed a system. Can you see my video? Can you see my face or
No,
walls?
no, I can just see your profile picture.
I think I have. Okay, so here is. Yeah, you can see me now, right?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Okay, you can see there is sticky notes, and I have placed different sticky notes behind my wall.
Yeah.
This is very super helpful for me to achieve and to be stick with my daily task, that what I need to do and what I have achieved or what I haven't. You can see actually here I have different sections of my
Hmm.
sticky notes where
Yes,
I
it's.
have nominated
Huh.
everyday task that I am
Hmm.
achieving every hour. So I have divided into two factors. One is achieved and one is vested. If
Hmm.
I couldn't achieve my prioritized task of my divided task on daily basis, then I
Hmm.
mark that day in my calendar it vested. That my
Hmm.
whole day got vested because I couldn't complete my achievement task. And
Hmm.
and it pushes me more. It pushes
Hmm.
me more to achieve more bigger,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that's why it's very helpful for me.
Hmm.
And I am really
Okay, I think yeah, his video is probably disconnected, but I'm really happy that he shared his experience because that was a great idea to prioritize our task, and that was also interesting to see that for some people, the internal constructive criticism works, right? And they do not like a deadline or push from outside, right? But for some of us, external deadline and a push is required, right, to complete our task. For example, I need to maybe some of us are doing some online course and I need to see that okay, I have a deadline that I need to meet, right, or I have an assignment deadline, and that motivates me towards reaching to that task. So again, as we were talking about that, we have some intrinsic motivation factors and some extrinsic motivation factors. We just need to be more conscious that which thing works for me well, right? So thank you so much, Fatin, for sharing your experience. I'm sure a lot of us here learned a lot, and maybe we can have that visual representation of which task we have completed, which we haven't, and that might motivate us further, like you. Thank you so much.
So to wrap it up, thank you once again, Somal, and it was a wonderful session. We are looking forward to having more sessions with you going forward, and see you around. Thank you, everybody. everyone for attending the
So much,
session.
Kayani. Thank you so much to all the participants for participating. Thank you so much.
Please leave your comments about your experience of the session in the LinkedIn post as well. And we are hoping to connect with you over there. Take
Yes.
care, everyone. Bye.
Yeah, goodbye.